You don't think that takes consciousness?
Thank you for clarifying. My bad.
Well, yes. Everything that isn't inert, meaning a stone, and that doesn't even count for all stones because there are stones that are conscious. But let's not go there. Just let's say anything that isn't inert is conscious. When I mean inert, I don't necessarily mean like water splashing or rivers streaming looks alive. And in many cases, the river is alive. Like the Ganges is a person.
I mean,
The Saraswati is a person.
if the river was not alive, how are the fish living?
How would what?
I said, if the river is not alive, how is the fish living?
Well, how are we living?
No,
I mean,
you said the river has consciousness or is living.
Some do and some don't.
No,
Water,
I'm saying
water is a natural element.
Yeah. So yes. So because the water has all the nutrients and all these living entities there, it is suitable for them to survive. And it's just like Earth is living. You know, the Earth is living, isn't it? So water is located in Earth, so it's living.
Well, our body is not technically alive. Our body, the one we're in right now,
Right.
it's not technically alive by the presence of the jiva and under the horror-like devotion of the soul, of the mind.
Yes.
Who wants to identify, oh, I'm Narayan Das, that's who I am. Oh, I'm Ramachandra, that's who I am. That's what the mind would like us to believe. And we think we're more advanced because instead of saying Narayan, I could say Nathan, or I could say blah, blah, you know? But the soul, but you're quite correct in that it's very possible, like when we offer water to Lord Krishna, we say Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu.
Yes.
Does that mean that the water is alive and we're offering it? Or does it mean that we're just offering it to Krishna who's alive?
Right.
I hadn't thought about it and I don't know the answer.
Hare Krishna to
Really
Rupa.
great question.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Haribol.
Jai.
The only female on the panel.
Well, we're all
Hare
Actually,
Krishna.
technically, everyone is female and only Krishna is male.
Jai. Yes, that's the Vaishnava conclusion. Yes.
Ramachandra
But-
Prabhu.
Huh?
Are you familiar with the late morning podcast by Nam Rasa Prabhu? Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Do you watch it?
Sometimes.
Oh yeah, I've been watching. It's interesting. It's hearing devotees' perspectives on various issues.
Very good. Now you can share it because Nam Rasa is a disciple of Radhanath Swami. So anything that he discusses, we can discuss and go into further detail and see, you know, because something like that is very important. Like you said, you know, people discuss certain things and how they view things, right? Nam Rasa has a good way of talking to people and stuff, you know. This
Yeah, he's
mainstream-
very open-minded.
Yeah, yes. But what does he think of the thing Prabhupada being the only Acharya and Diksha and Shiksha Guru to unite ISKCON? You know, these things that you probably never talk about.
Yeah, that hasn't come up.
They'll probably never come up.
Well, it doesn't come up because ISKCON in 1970 was destroyed by a conspiracy, an open rebellion, conspiracy, or revolution against Srila Prabhupada, against Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
They rebelled against Krishna's instruction that the GBC should be elected.
Right.
Now, because we were materialists before we were devotees, and we kept our material qualities as Kanista Adhikaris, then we figured, well, if somebody has some ability, he should be in charge and stuff like that.
Mm.
It didn't occur to us that we don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
Krishna's in charge.
Just follow the order of the pure devotee. Yes, that was not.
Yes.
Very simple.
Yeah, in one very nice quote, Srila Prabhupada said he didn't want that ISKCON would be too complicated, right? He used a word that we discussed and we couldn't figure out what it meant. What was that word? It was sort of, like voucher, I think you say voucher?
Yeah, voucher.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said, well, you have to keep it the way it is. And at that time, you had double president, you might have a president, a vice president, or not, treasurer, Sankirtan leader, but the main thing was president and treasurer. You kept the accounts and you managed the temple and you directed the devotees. So that's fine. Did the temple president pretend to be an Uttama Adhikari? Nobody wouldn't cross anybody's mind back then. Prabhupada's the Uttama Adhikari. But after Prabhupada is gone, they're all fighting to become the next Acharya, which is purely materialistic. There's nothing spiritual about it.
Mm-hmm. Rupa Manjari Prabhu, what was interesting to you that Nam Ras Prabhu was discussing? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, today it was a conversation with two Prabhus, Garuda Prabhu and Basu Ghosh Prabhu,
Mhm.
who's a big GBC guy.
Mhm.
And the topic was whether or not to authorize female Diksha gurus.
Mhm.
And Basu Ghosh was against it, and Garuda was for it. So it was an interesting debate between the two of them over
Okay.
this issue.
Yeah, that's both raise good points. I mean, if you look at the ISKCON guru issue, they vote for gurus. So if the men can be voted to be a guru, why the women cannot be voted to be guru? It doesn't require any special qualification.
Voted by who?
Oh,
Who gets voted?
Oh,
Who
sorry,
does
sorry.
the voting?
the GBC
Oh.
votes for the Kanishta Adhikari gurus
And where does the GBC get their power?
to vote for the gurus from nowhere.
No,
They
no.
just came up with that.
You could say the GBC votes for the gurus, but who votes for the GBC?
It's self-elected. That's a very good point. You interject now. It's self-elected people or the yes man. If you agree to the whole scam, then you can be a GBC.
It's exactly like the Vatican.
Yes, yes.
My apologies to Mahaprabhu. But the thing is that it's a Vatican. They have like a council of cardinals,
Mhm.
about the same number as the council of cardinals. And those people vote for a pope. Now, I understand that unless it's just another false news report, that Papa Francisco, Pope Francis, is dying. And so they're going to hold a meeting, a conclave. What is it? Is it a conclave? Mahaprabhu, what is it called when the cardinals go into a retreat and they either send up a black smoke to the chimney or white smoke to the chimney?
I believe you're correct. Conclave.
A conclave? Okay, so they go in
I believe that's
and
correct.
retire. Yeah, they retire from their other duties and they stay there until what? Paramatma or something has guided them.
I want to come back to Rupa Manjari Prabhu's point that she said about the two viewpoints, and I'd like to hear what she has to say about this. Besides interesting,
But the question is, what is the point in the point of views?
yeah, that's no. My thing was that we have discussed this issue here that if the unelected GBC can vote unqualified men to be gurus, why cannot the women be given the same chance?
Or how about your favorite baboon?
Hare Krishna. My favorite
And
bhakti.
instead of giving Guru Dakshin, you toss him bananas. I mean, once you can elect somebody, you can elect anybody.
Why not elect a baboon? Like you said, Prabhu, that's gonna be something.
Hari bol. Jai.
Yeah. So the whole thing rests on whether or not there is you see, you and I were having this discussion, I think today, when you had to take a phone call, but when Chaitanya became manifested as the Yuga avatar, I mean, he's God, and if he's the avatar for the golden age of Kali, and the Yuga avatar doesn't mean when the cannibals are busy munching on people, raw or roasted, that the Yuga avatar establishes religion till the end of religion in Kali Yuga. And that's only 9,500 years more. It's nothing. It's not Dwapara Yuga, it's not Treta Yuga, it's not anything like that, right? It's just a short period of time. And the Yuga avatar appeared practically, I mean, in our ancestors' lifetime.
Yeah, 500, yeah, a little over 400 something, 80, 93 years ago, yes.
Whatever, approximately 500 years isn't that much time. I mean,
Sure.
if people switch generations every 50 years, then it's 10 switches, 10 repeats of this person, maybe fewer than 10, right? How many generations going back to Lord Chaitanya is it?
Let's do the simple math. If a person lives, 81 years, 500 divided by 81, how much is that, 10? 6.1. If a person lives 81 years old.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere
Yeah.
in there, right?
Right,
That's nothing.
right.
I mean, going back to Lord Krishna is a little more substantial. That's 5,000 years to the end of Dwapara Yuga. Now, if you're going to land it in the middle of his childhood pastimes, you're going to have to go back 20,000, 30,000 years. Who knows how long it took. Right? So we're dealing with something that is practically the same age as our knowable ancestors. It depends on who you are. And my mother's side, my ancestors came over right after the Mayflower. So what was that? Maybe 100 years after Columbus? That means about 100 years after Lord Chaitanya. That's maybe not even that, maybe closer to the time of Lord Chaitanya, the Mayflower.
Okay.
So doesn't it a little bit scalp raising, prickly? It makes your scalp prickle a little bit to think that was not very long ago, was it?
Right, not very long ago, right?
And then how long does Lord Chaitanya last? How long is he going to be Yuga Avatar? When will he stop being Yuga Avatar, would you say?
Some 10,000 plus years, no?
Minus.
Yeah.
Well, it's already 500 years, so it'll be 9,500
500,
years.
yeah, 9,000. Yes, approximately, yes.
Compare that to the Vaishnava Sampradaya in the Bhagavad Gita.
Huh. Wow, yeah, Lord Brahma.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing,
It's
right? 26.
nothing. It's not even an eye blink of Lord Brahma.
Right. From that eternity perspective, if you calculate with Lord Brahma's day and night and this and that, right?
Lord Brahma's, a day of Brahma is 6,400,000,000 years. But wait, that's not 24 hours, that's 12 hours. His night is also 6,400,000,000 years.
That's
So you have 12,800,000,000 years is his 24 hours. No wonder that Narada Muni, who's the son of Brahma in that manifestation, took such a long time, said he would be back in a few minutes to Valmiki. And Valmiki was there for like 50 years or something inside of an ant hill made of clay, the way the ants do that.
Right.
So he was gone for a few minutes. Well, yeah, he's the son of Brahma. Of course, for him, it's a few minutes. Right? Okay.
So, what point do you wanted to make, Narayana Prabhu, that this is happening at
Okay.
Yes.
That when Prabhupada said that we should all imagine that we're being dragged up through the Vaishnava Sampradaya by Lord Balaram, that's where it really says Balaram is the head or the first person in Balaram is by Lord Nityananda, I should say, that Balaram is the first in the expansion of Krishna and the head of the entire Sampradaya, correct?
Yes.
But Lord Chaitanya as the Yuga avatar comes here, and Lord Nityananda is now the head of the mini Sampradaya.
Mm-hmm.
And how long does the mini Sampradaya last? 10,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a very long Sampradaya, is it?
What?
So all these people are saying we have to continue the Vaishnava Sampradaya. They look at the Bhagavad Gita and they say, well, I'm not Madhavacharya, I'm not so, I am wishful thinking Das, and I can become the Acharya. No, we're not dealing with that. We're not dealing with hundreds of millions or billions of years. We are dealing with 10,000 years, of which 500 have expired.
Right.
So the Sampradaya Acharya starts the Sampradaya all over again. He's the source, and the Nityananda is his expansion Balaram. So there's Krishna, Balaram, Sampradaya in 500 years ago, because Yuga avatar means Yuga. He's the avatar for this Yuga. He's not just a tourist coming through. They got off of the train and forgot to get back on before the train left.
Right. Everything got redone 500 years ago, right?
Yes. So we are, just look at us. Who the heck are we? We're select. We're like Lord Chaitanya is like the Christmas tree. We're like the Christmas tree ornaments on the Christmas tree. We were born to be on Lord Chaitanya's personality, path, and movement. It's completely different than people have understood ISKCON to be.
Yeah. I mean, if you use the ornament example, then it's practically unlimited, unlimited ornaments.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point. But we are the ornaments in the year 2000, whatever, right?
2021 right now, present moment.
No, 21 right now, but not when we were born.
Right.
We were born to be in this movement. Right. So because of that, Prabhupada said the demigods are lining up to take birth in this Krishna consciousness movement.
Right.
So we have misunderstood so much.
Yeah, we have exactly. We have made it.
Because, he did say there's a sinister movement within our society. Well, what could that be other than the GBC?
Right.
Because Prabhupada saw our society as individual temples operating as individual temples, individually incorporated. And that the GBC would come in and help them. The way I mentioned it last night, or the last time we had a session, when I went to Detroit, I went to New York, of all places, the first place where they had a temple. When I went to Detroit, I taught them how to do Artik. I'm not a Pujari. I didn't know anything about it. But I watched and I learned how they did it in the temple. I never performed Artik in the temple. But I taught Bhagavan and the others how to perform Artik once I built the altar and carved the deities for them to offer Artik to. So that was me acting in the capacity the Prabhupada foresees GBC acting. I went to a temple full of essentially karmis that were chanting japa that wanted to be devotees and turned them around until they made a huge and powerful movement in Detroit. Then they went and bought a huge place on Jefferson Boulevard that was amazing. And then they got the Fisher Mansion, which is amazing. So all of that came out of the GBC coming there and teaching them how to do artik. That was me. I didn't think of it like that. I knew what to do and I showed them how to do it. It was that simple. I didn't say, now I'm in charge. Now you have to worship me. Now you have to obey and I can kick you out or I can keep you or whatever. I never think it crossed my mind. I respected the Bhagavan was the temple president.
Right. Because at that time, it seemed like everyone seemingly was working towards the same goal, right?
They were. The goal was to chant Hare Krishna, to expand the temples, to become a devotee.
Yes.
These people were all went to a night school of Rupanuga. And interestingly, Prabhupada wrote something to Rupanuga saying, your college classes or something will produce devotees. Well, that one class produced about 15 or 20 devotees.
Wow. Jai. And these 15 or 20 devotees could have been trained up and sent to open or become students and make another 15 to 20 devotees.
They did. 15
Jai.
or 20. They made a lot more than that.
Jai, so that's what I'm saying.
Class on record?
Huh?
Huh?
Do we have that class on record? The class which made 50 devotees?
I'm sorry? What
Do
you
we
say?
have that class on record, like, the date or the city where it was being held?
Oh, when we were in Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
it was early 1969.
Rupanuga, search Rupanuga's name in the Bhaktivedanta database. Vinayak Prabhu. In
Oh,
19
yeah. So Rupanuga is, what's his name? Rupanuga is, trying to remember his Karmi name.
No, you can search Rupanuga. It'll come up. His name will
Yeah,
come up.
Rupanuga. Okay, so he was teaching at the University of Buffalo.
His name's Robert Corrins.
Yes.
Jai.
And he was probably listed, if you're looking at his teaching history, Robert Corrins, at, I believe it was Buffalo University.
Wow. So, this is before the GBC was even introduced, right? Srila Prabhupada established in 70. So
Yeah, eons before,
Right.
basically a year before.
right,
But, you know, but in those days, a year was like 20 years or 10
Right.
years. Just
Yeah, things
amazing.
yeah, things happen
But I
so
think of what
fast,
I did in 1969,
right?
and then what I did after 1971, from 1969 to 1971, I went everywhere. I carved so many deities. I taught people to chant, do Sankirtan. Yeah, when I was in Detroit, we had we would go down during the Christmas. I was there during the Christmas season, so it wasn't early. It was not early 1969. It was, shall we say, November, December 1969. We went down to our favorite street corner where we'd go down with like 15 devotees and dhotis and saris and all, and we would have kirtan. We went down once and we came there. The Salvation Army was set up on that corner. Did I ever tell you about that?
No.
The Salvation Army was set up on that our corner. And we went up and said, this is our corner. And the Salvation Army guy said, we've been chanting here for 50 years. They were all young guys, you know, but the Salvation Army had. And I said, I went to Gulf, you know. And I said, well, we've been chanting here, and this is the religion of tomorrow. This is the spiritual life of tomorrow, the Hare Krishna mantra. And you are representing the Christianity, which is the religion of yesterday.
Hmm.
They didn't take any offense.
Hmm.
And I said, why don't we join together and we will chant and you play they had a whole band, you play your instruments
Hmm.
and we will chant and you can chant with us, then we'll happily go away and not fight with you for the street corner and go to a different street corner. So do you know what happened?
No.
They liked the idea,
Hmm.
but they said, we don't know how you chant your melody. How do we know how to play your melody? I said, oh, that's easy. Do you know how to play This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land? This land is your land, this land is my land.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They said, sure. I said, well, let's run it through. And I conducted them for a bit. And they played This Land Is Your Land. Then with them playing their like 20 instruments loudly, we were there and they were there chanting with us a Hare Krishna mantra on that street corner as the great transition between the religion of yesterday and the spiritual life of tomorrow. Does that sound like fun?
Jai.
That's fantastic. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
This land is, I love that.
Yeah.
This land is your land. This land is my land.
This land is Krishna's land.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Amen.
melody, you know. It's sort of identical. Buddha Guthrie wrote the melody, but it was identical pretty much to what Prabhupada's chanting was. Melody was. And I always liked it because This Land Is Your Land was one of, I used, as a folk singer, my brother and I were folk singers. We used to sing strong harmonies in colleges, labor unions, civic auditoriums and stuff like that. This Land Is Your Land is a song that we got the whole audience to sing, you know?
Okay.
In fact,
Sure.
we specialize like Pete Seeger to get the whole audience to sing. Not just that we said there to entertain them, or like a rock concert where you make horrible noises and the other people scream in pain, thinking they're having fun.
Okay, Jai. So anyone here have any questions? Prabhu's here. We got Rishabdev Prabhu, we got Vinayak, we got Vinay, we got Mahaprabhu, Rupa Manjari Prabhu.
Hare
And
Krishna.
Rishabdev.
Hare Bol.
He's been reading Prabhupada's books. He's he's a very avid reader. So
Who
Hare
is?
Bol.
Rishabdev Prabhu.
Or Rishabdev Prabhu. What you need to do is have a conversation with Ramachandra. Why don't you call him up on the phone sometime and have a conversation
Yeah.
and explain what your program online is like? I mean, here you are on this program, but when I met you and you told me about your program, I said, we got to make this one program together, not just you, not one program, individual program, but your program, this program, let's work together and make it a big program.
Jai.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, we're trying to take your program away, and you're not obviously going to take ours away. So it is perfect harmony.
Your land is my
Sure.
land. Your program is my program. My program is your program.
So yeah, This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land used to be a favorite song. But after I became more sensitive to the Native Americans, it dawned on me it was their land, not our land.
Right. Exactly.
It was
Right.
just, Woody Guthrie was there during the Great Dust Bowl and during that time of desperation. And so he uplifted the hearts of the people that came out to California. They put up a sign saying 3,000 jobs picking fruit in California. And like 50,000 people got in their Model T Fords and loaded up all their stuff on the back of the Model T Ford and drove to California. And there weren't any jobs. So you know what happened? They all went to Bakersfield. And that's why in Bakersfield, everybody has cowboy boots and cowboy hats. Because they're descended from the so-called Okies from Oklahoma.
Question, Narayan.
Yes.
You spoke about the American Indian.
Really, that's the wrong thing. It's the Native American.
Native American. Now, the Native American has never been exposed to Krishna consciousness. So what about their spirit souls?
What about it?
Their spirit souls, they are their spirit souls.
They never knew Prabhupada. Prabhu.
Not yet. Are you suggesting that Prabhupada is no longer here?
No, I'm saying the Native Americans of the past. They were that may or may not have been exposed to consciousness.
Well, do you think they got were they reborn? Genetically,
Obviously.
they're reborn. I mean, you can find tons of people, except Elizabeth Warren, that are descended from the Native Americans. I'm descended from Native Americans. I'm part Mohican. So what you said is not entirely true, but in my case, the part of me that's Mohican, if it exists at all, is minute. Came from the French and Indian Wars.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, so we can only deal with who's here. Remember, everyone takes birth according to their karma. Now, if you say the Native Americans were never exposed to Krishna consciousness or to Prabhupada, just imagine how about the people in the time of King Arthur? They didn't get exposed to Prabhupada either. Unless some of them are still with us and have been exposed to Prabhupada.
Yeah, we don't have to. I mean, we shouldn't look at this as the only life. You know, the body is changing and the soul leaves the body at the time of death. And unless it has attained perfection, it is sure to get another body, either human being, dog, cat, or whatever. So no one, I mean, if they're pious living entities, you know, they get a suitable body according to their karma. So there's no loss because they get new bodies.
We've all known Krishna.
We're all part and parcel of Krishna, dude. How do you mean known Krishna? I mean, it's like a hand saying, "I know I know the body."
Maybe
does the hand know the body? Does your hand, Mahaprabhu?
I guess I'm playing Maya's advocate.
No,
yeah. If your hand
saying
knows your body, of course your hand knows your body. It's part of your body.
You were probably thinking that you are the body. Now, by associating with Srila Prabhupada, you have understood that you are spirit soul and always related to Krishna, part and parcel of Krishna. Maybe you were in the wrong consciousness.
Oh, you're breaking up. I'm sorry, Ramachandra.
I'm saying that you were probably thinking that you are the body, a byproduct, the soul being byproduct of the body. Now you're associated with Srila Prabhupada. You're understanding it properly.
Oh, breaking up.
No, I'm breaking up, or was he breaking up?
No, a little bit. Yeah, you're breaking up, not me. Maybe I am, but.
Am I breaking up, Rishabh Dev, or no?
Not for me.
Oh, I'm fine. Okay. So I guess it's
it'll be okay.
I'm back.
Okay. No, Mahaprabhu, you asked a question. Your question seemed like you were identifying the soul with the body. That's why you were saying that, the Indians or whatever were not exposed to Krishna consciousness.
I guess it's my body and mind playing tricks on me.
No, you just have to understand it in properly. It's not playing any tricks.
You have to know who you are. But when I came to Costco and met you there, the thing which distinguished that encounter, first of all, you look 20 years younger. And the second thing is, by looking at your third eye and looking at your eyes and hearing you speak, I can understand you were speaking from the platform of spirit soul without trying to. You just were, which is different than before because you were always in a tangle because of your mind and body. So I was very impressed by that a few days ago.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Vinay Argawal has a question. Prabhu, आपके question पूछना है? पूछ सकते हो.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Haribol.
My brother-in-law, my sister-in-law
Hmm.
has told me that he can spend some money for Prashadam in the ISKCON temple, but he can't come to the ISKCON temple. So what should I say to him?
What? Your brother-in-law said that he can spend money for Prashadam, but cannot come to what? Come to you?
In
Go
temple.
to the temple.
Go to the temple?
Yes.
So does he want to sponsor Prashadam for the devotees or the deities or for the family?
For devotees.
So that you got to find out what's the procedure from the local temple. They can probably tell you. You have to ask the ISKCON temple.
He's talking about bringing an offering for the deities.
Yes, actually he told me that he has no time for go to the temple because it is the far from our city, approx 15 kilometer.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, so you have to talk with the pujaris and say, we want to bring an offering. And then you have to demonstrate we're all vegetarian, we're Paka vegetarian in our house, where none of the kapots have ever had meat cooked in them or eggs or fish or anything like that. And preferably no onions either. And if you make it according to the standard of the ISKCON temple, then they are likely to accept it.
Or you can give them patram pushpam phalam, you know, fruits,
Yes,
flowers.
he is
Well, you can
interested
always,
to join a life
that's
membership.
you can always bring boga. In other words, you can bring mangoes or coconuts or whatever. You can bring all those things. But if you want to cook a dish and offer it to the deity, there's two things you could do. One is get permission and make sure. Now, I don't want to get too into it, but if you're cooking the dish, there'll be no onions or garlic in it, right? To offer to Krishna, you can't use onions and garlic.
Okay,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
please. Yeah, well, find out with your local temple what's the standard. You know, they'll tell you exactly. We can't really tell you
Yeah.
here what's going on.
But the fallback position is you can always go to the temple, and without putting the food stuff on the altar, you can stand in front of the deity and hold it and offer it to the deity verbally and say, please accept. But it should not be anything that is not offerable by the pujari. So that's the trick.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay.
You know, when I was first in India in 1972, practically speaking, all the vegetarian restaurants did not serve any onions or garlic at all. And of course they didn't, they had some that are veg and not veg restaurants at that time, but you know, there were plenty of Paka vegetarian restaurants and they didn't serve any onions or garlic. But I think nowadays it's moving away from the higher standards.
Yes, in Delhi, almost 80% of the restaurants are now vegetarian and non-vegetarian mix.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. And the real trick there is what happens in the kitchen. Do they use the same, do they stir the veg and non-veg with the same spoon or not?
Yeah.
Strictly speaking, they shouldn't, but do they?
The contamination happens.
Yeah. When I came across on the Jala Rajan, the sistership of Prabhupada spoke to Jala Duta, they had told me I could have vegetarian food because they cooked it for the vegetarian crew members. But I insisted that I had to cook my own food. And it took them days to get permission to set up a stove for me in the kitchen, a small 2-burner stove. And I cooked there, but I watched the cook. And he would stir the non-veg and he would stir the veg without any hesitation. So the vegetarian was not offerable, and it was not really, it was technically vegetarian, but if there was any meat juice on the spoon, it went into the vegetarian dish. So that's where it gets touchy. When you're dealing with deities, Well, Prabhupada said when he installed the small deities in Los Angeles, he said, if you worship the deities, if you treat them like brass, they will remain brass forever. But if you worship them nicely, they will speak to you.
Try. Yes.
And then he turned to the police and the tears shot out of his eyes. And he said, but please be careful, he said. You are dealing with Krishna.
Yes, that's a recorded and archived audio recording. So
In December 68.
try. So we have some comments now from our good devotee friends on YouTube and Facebook. This is particularly from YouTube. Aristo Prabhu was listening to our conversation, and he's making a comment about the American Indian tradition. He says, according to the many American Indian tribes, reincarnation takes place through their progeny, offspring. This belief is primary and oral tradition handed down intergenerationally.
Yeah.
So it's talking about the family's members take birth again.
As their own children.
Yes, yes.
Well, they can, or it could simply be a misunderstanding
Right.
of relatedness. You know, it all depends on whether they understood the individuality of the jiva, or if they thought the jiva is sort of a collective spirit, and it goes through the father and comes out again in the son. I know the Native Americans had an aphorism, which is very beautiful, in my opinion, whichever they believe, and that is, we are simply borrowing this land from our children. So they put a great deal of stock. If Arista says that's what they believe, then that's why they said that. We're borrowing this land from our children, meaning we have reincarnated into our children, and so we're borrowing the land from them, and when we're old, they will take care of us. Just as we took care of them when they were little.
Okay.
But I would say it's probably based on a misunderstanding of the nature of the soul.
Rishabh Dev Prabhu, do you have any questions, realizations?
One thing I wanted to share.
Yes, Prabhu. Go ahead.
So Prabhu, just like we were discussing few hours ago about this, so I want to discuss it with Narnarayan Prabhu that how about generally right now regarding these issues like GBC, book changes, and guru issue. So there have been a lot of content on internet, and from the side of ISKCON, there has been a lot of clarification, or we can say the brainwashing thing on internet about these things. So I was thinking that because right now there are a lot of disciples of Prabhupada or the personal associates of Prabhupada that are in favor of Prabhupada being
Yes.
the only guru of ISKCON and these things.
Yeah, but they're arguing back and forth. What they're really doing is justifying their material bodies as worthy to sit on an vyasasan.
Yeah. Not that,
It's
but
nothing more than that. You know what Prabhupada once said? He said, oh, no, this is what Krishna said to Pandraka, who had fake arms and real arms. And Pandraka was busy pretending to be Vishnu, and Krishna was standing there, or Vishnu, either Krishna or Vishnu was standing there, ready to do battle with him. And Pandraka started spouting off all sorts of stuff about his being in a Vishnu and scriptural stuff. And Krishna said to him, what you're saying, the words of a man, it's not very interesting to hear the words of a man who's about to die. And then he beheaded him. So these people are like that. It's not very, whatever they're saying, if we are successful with the League for 10K, and believe me, the League for 10K is not an accidental name. This is Istagosthi to resolve a problem, and the problem is, how did the GBC become what they are, and how did they make gurus?
Yeah, so right now,
Getting
what I
down to
was
the
trying to
fine,
suggest.
yeah, getting down to the fine tuning of whether the guru should be a man or a woman, or or a baboon, doesn't matter. The whole point is it's a pointless conversation. So everything they're saying, you may worry, I may worry, and we'd like to go to an ISKCON temple, we'd like it to be a Prabhupada temple. Well, there's one thing that's guaranteed. As long as the GBC exists as they do right now, all Prabhupada temples are Prabhupada temples, and no Prabhupada temple is a Prabhupada temple. Why? Because Prabhupada is still tricking them into posturing and waddling around and wiggling their butts at you in your face as gurus, but the movement's still going on as best it can. Our job is to reestablish the GBC as elected for 3-year terms. That would have a profound effect on the management of ISKCON, wouldn't you say? Because if we discredit the entire GBC, then who's going to elect the gurus? Nobody. Can the gurus elect themselves? That wouldn't look good. Can you imagine if there was no GBC and the gurus were electing each other? Who would believe it? Who would go along with it?
If there was no
But
GBC.
we're so saturated in the problem that we can't see the solution, or like we're so far under the water breathing out bubbles and not breathing in air that we can't see that all we have to do is go up to the surface, open our mouths and breathe air.
Hmm.
You know? Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
In
so
other
Prabhu,
words, the problem is simple. The solution is simple. Accomplishing it is simple. The question is the question will rest on who wants ISKCON the way Prabhupada created it, and who wants ISKCON with a bunch of Boy Scout leaders or shopkeepers running it as though it's their own private business that they inherited from Prabhupada. Who's going to go with the real thing?
yeah, but doing it practically is the different thing. Everybody may not be ready to hear the philosophy which we are talking.
Okay, and that is what we're working on in this site. We're just
Yes.
started a few months ago,
So,
and
yeah,
verbally
so-
we can do this verbally here. Basically what we're doing is, I've noticed that we don't really talk about the central core issues like GBC and stuff like that. We talk about the fact that people come here. I would look at it like, I feel like a veterinarian taking in wounded creatures, birds, snakes, animals, dogs, cats. They all come in meowing or barking, showing the wound on their leg or their back or whatever. And we have to cure, we have to heal the people. So that's what we're doing right now. But as soon as our website comes out, we're going to be able to say, we're not going to challenge the GBC. Why? Why challenge them? They're having a good time and they're making millions or even possibly billions of dollars. Why should we challenge the GBC? Why should we challenge the gurus? Who we will challenge is the new people that are 18 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old, 30 years old, 35 or even 40 years old that want to become devotees. And they will have a choice. The real ISKCON that we will show them what it is, or what is going on there. At some point, even the people that are in the ISKCON temples will say, you screwed us over. We want the real ISKCON. Oh, no. Look, if you go to the website, it's every unless you're rejecting Prabhupada as Prabhupada's representative. If you're saying Prabhupada was a Kanista Adhikari guru, then what is your authority? What is Prabhupada's book's authority? But if you accept Prabhupada as a transparent via medium for Krishna, and if he said elect the GBC every 3 years, Either you do it or you don't. And you guys have a lot of explaining to do, to me, to you, to everybody in the movement right now, or at least to the Lord Yamaraj, the court of Yamaraj. When the Akashic record is read, you guys will turn pale when you hear what you did in 1970 to reject Prabhupada, meaning you rejected Krishna so that you can turn ISKCON into a centralized material organization, putting on the faith of Prabhupada, but not the methodology of Prabhupada, not the way Prabhupada asked for it to be done. And you say, well, Prabhupada's just one of many gurus in the Sampradaya. You can say that, and you will not make much advancement. But if you can recognize that Prabhupada was sent by Krishna from Krishna Loka, and that Krishna, when Prabhupada spoke, Krishna spoke through his mouth. Then, anytime we didn't obey what Prabhupada said, is a big, fat no-no on us. And what do you do when you have a big, fat no-no? You have to rectify it. What happens to a child when they poop in their pants? You change their clothes. It's not like you have to sit there meditating on the poop-filled clothes and say, is this good poop or bad poop? Is this child too old to poop, or is this the right child to poop at all? Or you don't do that. You just change the clothes so that everyone will benefit, so that the child will benefit and everyone will benefit.
Right. Very simple.
I mean, these are super crude examples, but you get the point. It's the youth, it's Rishabdev that's going to make the difference. Rishabdev, didn't you say that can you recount our conversation? You said that I had advised you not to take an ISKCON guru.
Yeah.
You told me that at Thanksgiving. So what was that conversation? Can you share?
Yes, you let me know that I let you know that years ago you told me not to get a guru.
Where were you? Where were you? And where was I?
We were sitting at the table in New Dwarka.
The Govindas or the Sunday feast?
It was Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
Okay.
No, I mean, we just a few days ago Thanksgiving, but you said years ago also Thanksgiving?
Oh, no. Years ago it was outside of Govinda's. And
did you ask me something?
I don't remember clearly, but I think I might have asked you about getting a guru.
Did you have any particular guru in mind?
No, I just I was looking for a guru.
In ISKCON, possibly.
Yes.
Yeah, and I advised you not to. But the thing which amazed me at Thanksgiving, when you were standing there and I was sitting in a chair and you were standing there looking like a saintly presence, is that you said that I told you you should not take a guru, and you kept that with you all those years.
Yes.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about, Ramachandra Prabhu. You get it? If I told Rishabdev 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever, a time ago, not to take the guru, now he's on our website to reestablish Prabhupada as guru.
Try.
So this is what I'm saying about the youth. I don't know. What is your age, Rishabdev Prabhu?
I'm 37.
Okay, so you're in that age group that I was describing.
Everyone here is in that age group except you and Mahaprabhu.
We're the babysitters.
Mahaprabhu is 95 years old.
Wow.
85?
95.
Mahaprabhu is 95 years old?
Mahaprabhu's Mahaprabhu. His father's 95 years old.
Oh, his father's 95 years old. Yeah.
He's beyond
And
the
his
day.
father, when he gets on the microphone, says, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Can you imagine this?
Try. Yeah, that's a very good point, that the young generation, they can be they can understand this, and then we can have a conversation with them.
Yes. We'll
Yeah.
create, I think, and there's all these sites and Facebook, these Facebook sites and stuff like that, where people are communicating, trying to say, how do we get our ISKCON back? Oh, how do we live like devotees? How do we survive the guru's situation? And that's fine. Because once we have things ready, they will come and say, oh, you're what we were looking for. Can it be done?
Try.
And I would say, why not? Prabhupada did it at the age of 69. Why can't you do it at the age of 35?
Not evolve. Try.
Because it's all done. Everything that needs to be done for the golden age of Kali has already been done. If people have a hard time understanding that, because everyone says, well, you get a guru. I mean, well, let me ask Rishabdev, Prabhu, what a person, if you were looking for a guru, what would you expect a guru, what would you expect a guru to be able to do for you if you took a guru? What would the guru do?
The guru would help me realize Krishna consciousness.
Now, what if I told you that the first time you ever heard the Hare Krishna mantra, that you already got the Krishna consciousness? Now all you have to do is purify your body, and you don't need a guru to purify your body and to turn from a karmi body into a devotee body, or from a devotee body into a psychic body like a Madhyamadikari, and from that body into a spiritual body. You don't need a guru to do that, right? Because the guru, you already have it. Everybody thinks if I go to a guru, he'll give me Krishna, right? If I go to a guru, he'll give me Krishna. What is Hare Krishna mantra? Is a Shakti Vaishavatar. Shakti Vaishavatar means an actual, the Maha mantra that we chant is an actual incarnation of Krishna. So if you're looking for Krishna, try the Hare Krishna mantra. It's just like when Lord Chaitanya was here 500 years ago. He's the Yuga avatar. So he says to people, give up your religion, give up your philosophy, simply chant Hare Krishna. And that's exactly what he said.
I mean,
but people didn't understand it. Because they thought, well, shouldn't I keep my Hindu faith or shouldn't I keep my Christian faith? And the answer is, you want God? I'm standing here. Yuga avatar means the God people worship and talk about, write Bibles about, write the Quran about, write so many books about, write the Vedas about. That God is not being written about. He's standing in front of you as the Yuga avatar. Although it's 500 years ago, but that's not very much time.
I have an interjecting question here.
Absolutely.
This, you're talking about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time. And then before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there was this Catholic religion has been here. But why doesn't the Chaitanya Charitamrita talk about the Catholic religion or the Christian religion? Does it talk about it?
When did the Christian religion come to India?
The Christian religion.
It came in the 1600s, didn't it?
Acha. No, I was thinking that the Christian religion was there on this planet, but I guess it did not spread to India during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, or
no. Do you know, at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, actually not the beginning of the Kali Yuga, in the 500 years BC, Alexander the Great came to India, and so did Cyrus the Great and his son from Persia. They came to India, and they conquered here and there, and the people they conquered, the kings they conquered, became their associate kings. They became their servant kings. That was the style back then. If you defeat me, I'm your servant. If I defeat you, you become my servant. That's the way they did it.
No, but did they not profess their Catholic religion on these Indian kings?
The Catholic religion didn't come until the Portuguese.
Acha. So,
What about the disciple Thomas?
That St. Thomas came at the time of Jesus' life, but he came by himself.
no, we're saying no. We're talking about their religion. How so that religion with Christianity was there, but it was not in India. Is that what you're saying?
Except for St. Thomas.
What?
Except for St. Thomas.
Okay. So,
but the thing is, St. Thomas went there at the year, it wasn't BC, it was AD. It was like in the year 30, 40 AD. So 30, 40 AD, St. Thomas did go to India, but there wasn't any big Christian movement in India at that time. In fact, St. Thomas went to India before Christianity was established. See, Christianity was established. It took, I think, about 100, 200 years after Jesus was crucified for, maybe Mahaprabhu can tell us this, that when did Constantine declare Christianity the religion of the world, of Europe? Is Mahaprabhu there?
I don't think so.
Aha.
Okay.
Listen,
Anyways, that's besides the topic question. I was just curious to see because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discussed various philosophies with different philosophers. I thought, the Christian theology would be described because it talks about the Muslim idea of God and stuff. So I thought they would have something
Okay.
related to Christianity or the Catholic religion, but they don't.
Okay, I'm looking it up on the computer here. That they looked at Thomas came to India in the year 52.
1952?
No, 52. It's like this is 2021. Subtract 50 years and take away the difference, and you've got the year 52.
Huh?
Okay.
Rupa, what are you going to say?
The year 52, it's like, 2021 is 2021 years since Jesus lived. So this is 52. This is 52 years into it.
Okay, 52 years into their calendar.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Acha. 52. It's an interesting question to think because 52 years into the calendar, their movement must have been pretty strong, no? I mean, Jesus Christ appeared. These people are, somewhat new religion is popping up.
The Catholic Church had already been established. Columbus, who appeared first? Columbus or Lord Chaitanya?
Lord Chaitanya, I think, appeared first, no? Rupa?
Well, Columbus went to America in 1492. What's the appearance of Lord Chaitanya?
14 something. Let's see, Christian era. Let me search Christian era. Christian. Lord Chaitanya appeared, let's see, 14 something. I forget. Lord Chaitanya appeared.
1460 something, no?
Let me find out. Year.
So that was in Kerala, which is very far south.
1510. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared at the end of January in the year of 1510. No. That was when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas, 1510. Okay. So
So it was 14 something. Huh?
yeah, 14 something. 1486. No, from historical 1511 after death. So about 1500s he appeared approximately. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled to South India in 1433. Let's see. I'm trying to find the exact date.
We should be able to find it on the database. No?
The Bharati offered, yes, in the year 1432, 1510.
So in 1498, there were Christians in India, probably
1490.
descended from St. Thomas.
Yeah. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being present about 1500s, so they must have met, no? At least, I mean,
Yeah, presumably.
yeah, presumably, because this is maybe it is talked about. It's just that we don't know it. I don't know.
Well, Lord Chaitanya did go to South India.
Yes.
In
Raghunath Das.
1498, the famous Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama sailed to Kerala to open up the first Europe-India sea route. Imagine his surprise when he found Christians. Then 2 years later, Captain Pedro Alvarez Cabral followed, bringing 8 Franciscan priests, 8 chaplains, and a chaplain major. He left a few behind who introduced the Latin, read Roman Catholic, rite. Once European Christianity had arrived, life was never the same. So we could say that Christianity came to India in a recognizable European form in, what was it I said here, in 1498.
1498. So that was about the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, 1498.
What was his exact birth?
Okay, let me find out. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day. Lord Chaitanya appeared in born 1486.
So he appeared before Christians, except for the Cavasian Christians, came to India.
Yes.
And so we can understand that Christianity was not a huge belief system in Kerala.
Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 1486. He passed away 1534. 1486, 1534.
So that was after Vasco da Gama came to Kerala. No, 1534. Yeah, he came in 1498 to Kerala, Vasco da Gama. Well, what was the point? I mean, it was a very small thing. They only had, the Catholicism only had like half a dozen members in there. And then they had how many ever Thomasian Christians? Let me see if I can find it.
No, my curiosity was that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I guess, met them, or maybe did not meet them, or maybe he did meet them and he converted them into Vaishnavas. You know, who knows? That's
Well, he didn't. No, they remained.
That was just a curious question because I was just trying to philosophically speculate to see what was going
Well, it
on
could
during this
be.
time.
If it's anywhere, it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah, this is a good question to ask these erudite ISKCON people who study theology and philosophy. Maybe it's talked about in a different form, in a sense, whatever their philosophy is described in Vedic terms. These acharyas like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur, they definitely talk about the Christian philosophy, right, in their books. So
Who?
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur.
Yeah, but Christianity is not a very useful religion because it doesn't deal with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Right.
It only deals with following the avatar of the Shakti Vishavatar, Jesus, to heaven, which is Swargaloka. Prabhupada described is Swargaloka. They don't go back to Godhead.
Right.
Some foolish but talented ISKCON artist showed picture of Krishna and Jesus holding hands and running in the fields of Vrindavan. That is completely bogus. Jesus does not go to Krishna Loka.
Right. All right. See, our devotees have any questions, realizations they want to share? Sorry, I kind of drifted the whole thing to another field. Okay. Okay. Rishabh Dev Prabhu, anything that is you want to share? Ask a question or anything like that, Prabhu?
I just had a question. I still drink coffee because I have medication that I've been taking. It's called Abilify.
I have no idea, Prabhu.
Yes, but I know coffee is considered an intoxicant, right?
Yes, devotees who are strict in their practices, they don't take coffee. Yes.
Yes.
So you can eventually, or if you can quit it, it'll be good for your body, but it takes time, like anything else.
It's not the worst thing.
Yeah, let's put it that way. It's not the worst thing.
All right.
It's considered technically breaking the regulative principles because it's intoxication.
What
But there are
about
many
tea?
times that Ayurvedic doctor will give you things that are technically intoxication because you need it to get well.
What about tea?
Tea depends what kind of tea.
No, well, herb tea.
Yeah, you can have herb tea, ginger tea, but
No Lipton stuff.
I think that is considered intoxication because it has caffeine and other things.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
All right, Mahaprabhu. Okay, so let's see. I wanted to share something. Okay.
It's funny, I'm reading here in Wikipedia that there were not only Thomasean Christians in Kerala, but also Jews.
What?
But
Jews?
this is all, you see, when Lord Chaitanya came, it's basically the tide of Kali Yuga is sweeping in and sweeping all the decorative stuff off the beach and destroying it.
Right,
So
right.
all of these religions are destructive, are remedial or desperate or destructive They do not the Vedas. The only religion that was good was the Vedas. The Mughals challenged the Vedas and turned the kings into vassals. And then they created the term India, and then they created the term Hindu. And then when they got to independence, they stuck with being Hindu. And so it's all the burnt remnants of the Vedic culture. We have to concentrate on the actual reality. And
Yes.
that is that Lord
Okay.
Chaitanya is the yoga avatar.
Yeah, we should not
Everything after
divert.
that is
Yeah.
pointless.
Yeah, I think I diverted the attention to something else, which was not really needed. So my fault for that. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to read some quotes from Srila Prabhupada now.
Sure.
This is dealing with something that might share some light on Dronacharya. So Prabhupada says here, this is talking about taking money and taking support of people who are materialists. Prabhupada says in this regard, such great personalities become darkened because they took money from them. Anna, if I am provided by somebody who is too much materialist, then that will affect me. I will become also materialist. I will also become materialist. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned that those who are Vishayi, those who are not devotees, do not accept anything from them because it will make your mind unclean. This is therefore a Brahmana and a Vaishnava, they do not accept directly money. They accept bhiksha, just like here it is said bhikshayam. What will you ask somebody? Still, bhiksha is also sometimes prohibited from a person who is too much a materialist. So Prabhupada here is saying in this discussion that if we accept money from people who are too much materialist, we also become affected by it. See it?
Oh, yes. We become seduced by it.
Yeah, by such great.
Because our body needs money to become fed and pleasured.
Right.
But the jiva does not require money for anything.
So
So
this is
when a person takes money,
Huh.
it puts them into the position of being the body, not the jiva.
right, and so in this instance, the ISKCON gurus, they're also accepting this. It's accepting money is accepting karma, basically.
Well, of course, you're taking somebody else's good karma that's given to you as a gift, and now you are the debtor who owes the karma that you received.
Right. So in this case, the Kanishta Adhikari gurus, they are not able to deliver the conditioned soul, so they become.
Wait. At what point are they supposed to be delivering the fallen conditioned souls? They're already delivered by chanting Hare Krishna once. What is the delivery part? What are they giving in exchange for the money except
No,
a membership?
I'm saying they are not themselves Uttamadhikari, so they're trying to deliver the conditioned souls.
They are?
I mean, they cannot do it, but they're trying it in ISKCON.
Are you sure they are? Are you sure they're trying? Or do you think they're just getting members? I think it's more like a church where the people come and join the movement. The priest gives them a diksha, gives them a spiritual name, and then they say, okay, now you're giving money to the religion, the church, and that's your salvation by giving money to the religion.
Yes, no, Prabhu. I think yes, your understanding is better. I was thinking in the terms of exchange. The the initiators give some sort of a ceremony, and they link them to ISKCON and give them the Hare Krishna mantra, and the disciple gives them some sort of money or some sort of food or some type of something in exchange.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
And-
that's maybe there. But if you take someone like Kirtanananda, he made that entire New Vrindavan thing with hundreds of people and millions of dollars flowing in and stuff like that. He did, when the disciple gives, when somebody gives him the money, it doesn't matter if he gives it to the money or to the temple treasurer. He's the beneficiary in either case.
You mean
In other
who's
words,
the
Kirtananda didn't have to have big bags of money. He was the king. He was the king of the money. He was the king of the treasury. He didn't have to have money. So he could live a life that looked like poverty with complete unlimited money at his disposal.
Mhm. I mean, my point was, him doing all this, it made him even more degraded and more crazy, right?
Well, yes, because he was taking money under false pretenses.
Right.
Supposedly he was the acharya. Supposedly he's the Uttama Adhikari. But actually what he was doing is taking people, making them into practical disciples of Prabhupada, while taking the money that was due to Prabhupada for himself.
Right. Mhm.
This is why the whole thing is so tangled up.
Right.
And it's sort of like we can look at it and say, what you're so far off base, you're like a fly that needs to be swatted or something of that sort. You're not producing anything, and you're arguing about who's better than who and who understands what better than who. If you understand something better, then preach, and someone will become Krishna conscious from your preaching. Why are you worried about who's going to be the guru? You don't need to worry about that. Read Prabhupada's books. You got a guru. So if you want Diksha, you can have Diksha. You can be initiated the way we used to initiate people in 1965, when Prabhupada wasn't personally present, by mail. So you take the temple president can perform the fire sacrifice,
Sure.
or the pujari can do the fire sacrifice. It's blown out of proportion. It's simpler than people think it is. You don't have to be worried about all the details that people are obsessed with. We don't have to, right? Because all the things people are obsessed with don't exist. They don't, what's the difference? It's just like when Krishna said to Pandraka, your words are not interesting. The words of a man about to die are not interesting. So their rules and regulations, their mentalities, their thinking, their feeling, whether they're taking money or not taking money, or using it for this or using it for that.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You're about to die. Prepare to have your head chopped off. That's the best of it.
And anyways, head chopped off. This devotee, what's his name? Sura Prabhu, our god brother, he passed away. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He had actually gone to get these vaccinations too.
Yeah,
But
that's what I heard. I heard
when he went into the hospital, it was because of his kidneys. They gave him a booster shot, involuntarily.
Oh my God.
And he got sick. 3 days later, he was dead. There's something more on the. I said that because somebody said it, and I'm always nervous if I'm repeating something without knowing the authenticity of the story. But somebody on Facebook wrote out in considerable detail.
Oh, so yes, that can be found out just by asking his son or.
Well, yeah.
If that
But
is
of
true.
course, when you have someone like Sura, the tendency is there to want to fictionalize it right away and turn him into a saintly person and all of that, But Sura, Sura was Sura. I knew him very well. He used to be one of the leaders of one of my multi-level marketing companies. So he called me boss.
Jai.
And everybody liked that he chanted, had a kirtan group that he chanted with, but I didn't like the fact they didn't ever chant Prabhupada melodies.
Mhm.
So I was, every time I hear a kirtan that isn't a Prabhupada melody, you will not find me smiling. I look disgruntled. I look like, why are you doing this to me? I don't want to hear something coming from Bollywood
All
or
right.
from a Hindu temple somewhere or from a church somewhere. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear pop songs. I want to hear Prabhupada.
Jai.
And why not? Prabhupada's chanting came from Krishna Loka. Narottam Das, of course, so I've repeated it before. Hare Krishna comes straight from Krishna Loka. But with chanting, I have no connection. Day and night, I'm burning in this dark world without working to make the correction. So Hare Krishna comes straight from Krishna Loka. What? All by itself? Or the Hare Krishna mantra comes down in an envelope, or a bird, like a dove, carries it like an olive branch in its mouth to come down to earth? No, it's brought down by the Jiva, by the Prabhupada, by the Uttama Adhikari brings the mantra, and we want to chant something else. Where is your reality? You have a chance to chant like Krishna Loka, and you want to chant like somebody else. Why? What are you going to get out of it? Oh, there's no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy name. You've heard that one?
Yes.
People justify any nonsense, crazy dancing, crazy mridanga, crazy kartals, crazy chanting, and mridanga, everything crazy dancing. They justify no hard and fast rules. Well, maybe not if you're not a devotee and you're chanting, you can do it any way you please. But the fact is that a devotee that accepts Prabhupada as guru needs to follow the teaching, example, and the perfection of the guru. And what did Lord Chaitanya mean when he said no hard and fast rules for chanting? Does anyone know why Lord Chaitanya said that? What he was referring to? Okay, I will explain. No hard and fast rules means he broke open the storehouse of love of God. And what was happening before he broke open the storehouse of love of God? The Hare Krishna mantra was chanted under very strict circumstances by very select Brahmins. When he broke open the storehouse of love of God, he took the mantra away from these strict Brahmins and distributed to anybody, drunkards, dope addicts, me, he distributed everywhere. So no hard and fast rules means you don't have to know your gotra to chant the Hare Krishna. You don't have to be a Brahmin. You don't have to be from a Brahmin family. You don't have to be anything. You don't even have to be a human being. You can be an insect and hear the Hare Krishna mantra and get all full benefit from it. You'll go back to Godhead if you're an insect. So the question is, no hard and fast rules means that. Not that you can butcher and bastardize and beat up the mantra until it sounds so horrible that you're lucky if you can stay a mile away from the kirtan to avoid it. We want kirtans where you want to come to the kirtan, dance in ecstasy, dance the Swami step, play the kartals in such a way that the channels of your heart become opened, play the mridanga so that your whole energy level is consumed by the sound vibration. That rhythm draws people in. I remember back in 1973, we were working on the temple. We had the people in the new temple room in New Dwarka, but there were no deities or anything. We set things up temporarily for the people for the Sunday feast, they came in. I remember one man, a Karmi man, middle-aged, maybe 65, 70 years old man, 65 years old, white hair, regular-looking guy. And I was standing near him playing mridungas. Others were standing playing kartals. And what happened? We were playing and dancing the Swami stuff just from the kirtan that us lowly disciples of Prabhupada, not Prabhupada, but us disciples, were following Prabhupada's style or method of kirtan. The man burst into tears and began weeping from his heart. All the conflicts in his heart went away when he chanted Hare Krishna using Prabhupada's melody. And that does not happen when people are going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. It doesn't happen. They're simply kidding themselves. Worse yet, they're kidding Krishna. Ramachandra, where are you?
I'm here. I was just checking the messages.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you heard that, what I said?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's why we chant Prabhupada's melodies. Because no hard and fast rules means that we can chant Prabhupada's melodies to untouchables, malachas, yavanas, rakshasas, and we do. But that doesn't mean we can chant any rakshasa melody and it's as good as Prabhupada's melody.
There you go.
So that has to be taken into account. I know you probably were influenced by the fact that people probably hardly ever chant Prabhupada's melodies in ISKCON temples, right?
Oh yeah. In ISKCON here locally, ISKCON Sacramento, they sing all kinds of stuff.
So the first rule we have to make is no kirtan that's not Prabhupada's kirtan.
Try.
When I got back from India and I'd heard all of the Chutananda's bogus kirtan melodies that he had introduced, and then he told me, I said, you're Bengali? He said, not just Bengali, these were songs when I was in New York as a child, Jewish songs and on radio. He convinced the devotees that this was bona fide and Prabhupada wasn't. He said, this is the real kirtan. And Prabhupada's kirtan is just ABCs, just for beginners. Hare Krishna, that's just for beginners. No, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, that's really for advancement. So that's what he said, Achyutananda. So I came back to Los Angeles in 1973, and I got put in charge of the kirtans. So I would let anybody chant kirtan, but everybody had to chant a Prabhupada melody. So there was a devotee that came back from India, and he was so stoked on Achyutananda's bogus kirtans, and he wanted to immediately introduce the real Bengali kirtans, like Prabhupada's not a real Bengali. That's what they took the attitude. They were the real Bengali kirtans, not the ones Prabhupada gave us. And Karanda was in charge, and he was very good. At that time, he put me in charge. And they came up to me and said, I want to lead kirtan. I said, well, it's fine. Can you lead only Prabhupada kirtan? No, I want to do the real kirtans, the Bengali kirtans, the way it's supposed to be chanted. That's the way we're talking. Can you imagine the church? They were actually 1973 saying that.
Prabhupada wasn't the real Bengali, nor was Prabhupada a real Acharya, nor was he a real Uttamadhikari.
They're saying that Prabhupada's not a real Bengali. He's a high caste from Bengali. His group, what's it they called? That group is.
I mean,
what they call
we.
Well, but anyhow, let me quickly finish. So the guy wanted to lead the kirtan. I said, only Prabhupada. He said, no, I want to read the real kirtans. I'm going to introduce them. Everyone will be chanting the real kirtans. I said, then you can't chant. So the guy went back to Karanda and said, Narayan won't let me chant the real kirtans from Bengal. And Karanda was this sort of guy. He said, well, Narayan's in charge. If he says you can't do it, guess what? You can't do it. So I kept that going until finally there was a revolution there, and they kicked me out from doing the kirtans. Then they brought in the real kirtans from the Chutananda, not the bogus kirtans from Prabhupada.
I mean, we Malachas coming from this fallen background, we underestimate the pure devotee descending from the spiritual world. And this is one of the problems that I've noticed. Specifically, it's like a pandemic in ISKCON. So that is what we're going up against, the unelected
Yeah,
GBC.
in ISKCON. But the people that are joining, we have Rishante, we have there's
Outsiders,
billions
yeah.
of people that can join. There's billions. The more things get weird because of pandemic mentality, totalitarian. United States going from a republic, democracy to a republic to a totalitarian Nazi group, fascist government. The more people will be reaching out for real kirtan.
Mm.
And
Right.
so if we produce only real kirtan and authenticate it against the fact that pick up a tape recording of Prabhupada. You want real kirtan? Try a Chutananda, try Prabhupada. If you should Chutananda, then go to Florida. He's a faggot. Have fun with him.
Yeah.
Have fun with your faggot acharya in Florida.
So yeah, that I mean, this is kind of bewildering to me, at least, how we got introduced to Krishna consciousness, and after just a few years, we minimized Srila Prabhupada's position until this day. You know,
When you say we, you mean back in 1966 up till 1970, 3 years, say probably.
Yeah. I mean, it was all right at that time, but from then on till now, it's a disaster.
The minute that they rejected, in 1970, they rejected the direction of management. 1972, I was in India being with Chutananda trying to brainwash everyone. And you know that book, that long, skinny book called The Songs of the Vaishnavacharyas?
Oh, yes, you told that incident where he published it without the approval of Srila Prabhupada.
And Prabhupada, he asked Prabhupada to write an introduction, and Prabhupada very mercifully did. But then when he brought the book to Prabhupada, to the manuscript to Prabhupada to look, Prabhupada said, you can't publish this. The songs are mistranslated. Prabhupada made translations of the songs of the Vaishnavacharyas. Achyutananda told me, I was standing on the balcony of the Calcutta temple with him, he said, Prabhupada's translations were not accurate. Now, Achyutananda learned Bengali quickly in a couple of years. Prabhupada was born speaking Bengali. Can you imagine the mentality?
No, that's what I'm saying.
We're dealing with 100% offense against Prabhupada and with 100% obedience to Prabhupada mixed into it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. 100% offense and 100% obedience. So, what side do you take? Or
well, we just leave it as it is. Leave it the way it is. And we start creating the kata that describes who Prabhupada is, what ISKCON is, what ISKCON's melodies are, what the Mridanga's beats are, everything, so that you could say, I just went to 26th Avenue, I heard the Swami, and I'm a very talented musician. So now here I am with one of their clay drums, and you've got the kartals, and you're going bum, 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 and I'm leading the kirtan, and it sounds just like Prabhupada. That would be good. That's the mission. You hear the spiritual master, you should become indistinguishable from the spiritual master. In other words, who's going to change what the spiritual master does?
right, no one.
That means who is better than the spiritual master? And they say we're not better, it's just we're different. Prabhupada is Prabhupada from India. I am so-and-so from New York City, so why shouldn't I chant like a New Yorker using New York melodies? You can do that as long as you're not initiated. But you know, one of the standards of initiation is you accept everything spoken by the spiritual master and you reject nothing that the spiritual master says. It has to be like that. That you become locked into the spiritual master as he is in his style. It's like Bhaktisiddhanta became a contrarian, just like Kishore Das Babaji. He had no inclination to be a contrarian. He became a contrarian because his spiritual master was a contrarian.
Jai. Hmm.
And the net result is Prabhupada became the ultra contrarian by coming to America and preaching to unworthy people a mantra that cannot be heard except by the Vaishnavas.
All right.
Okay, well, where do we go from here?
I don't know. We got about 11 minutes. No, 12 minutes. So Prabhu's here. Mahaprabhu, Rupa Manjari, Vinayak Prabhu, anything before we cut out for in 12 minutes?
Yeah, I was just saying about the same idea that getting the videos, video testimonials from some of the personal associates of Prabhupada on these issues like book changes, GBC elections, and gurus and everything, so that we can make a systematic propaganda for the
Oh,
proper.
yes. Oh, what about you say, accept everything spoken by the spiritual master and you reject nothing spoken by the spiritual master?
Yeah.
Why would you have book changes?
Yeah, so for that I'm talking about taking it to the general public and making something so that more people get involved in our struggle. So
With
if
book changes?
yeah, so for example, I was just talking about it with Ramchandra Prabhu also. For example, if we get around maybe 30 devotees who were like personal associates of Prabhupada to speak a 5 minute or 3 minute thing on a video that they are not happy with this decision of ISKCON for changing the Prabhupada's books, or they are in
Yeah,
favor of
that's
keeping
good.
the. Yeah, so if we put it more in a more systematic meeting, because right now from beginner's point of view, what is happening that most of the people don't know.
Okay, I get
that-
your point. I agree
Yeah.
100%.
So if people know that actual Prabhupada's original disciples and personal associates are in favor of
in other words,
Prabhupada's original books, then
we
there
are
would be
we're the,
much more.
you say we should be witnesses.
Yeah,
Yes, witnesses to.
witnesses. And
Yeah.
we should put them forward in a systematic way, because nobody comes on Zoom calls. We need to put it on the website in a systematic way.
Yeah,
That
well,
here is
we're
the
working
name
on the
of.
website.
Yeah,
That sounds good, Vinayak Prabhu. We can do that, and you can assist us in
Yes.
that area, Prabhu. So come
yeah,
up with
because
the ideas. I'll gather the people, and then we can have a discussion with them, and then we can edit and post the videos just like you want it done.
And that is an Istagosthi.
Yes.
yeah. Because we need to make the process smoother also, because right now most of the personal associates of Prabhupada are very old and they may pass any time. So
Right.
we need
Oh, come on. Speak for yourself.
yeah, I can also pass on any time, but yeah, somehow we have to do this. Like we can make a 2 or 3 point questions, and we can just tell them that you have to speak something on a video around these questions, so that we know what your opinion is on a particular issue, and we would
Yeah.
systematically put that on the website, that this
Sure.
particular person was a personal associate of Prabhupada, he did this services, and he has this opinion about this issue in ISKCON, and here
So
is a
Vinay-
video
Vinay-
supporting that witness.
So, Prabhu, your main task is more important than the devotees answering the questions, is asking the right questions.
Yes,
Ah,
that will
If you
coordinate
just tell
together.
people talk, they're just going to get all gummed up into current politics.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you ask specific questions,
Why shouldn't Srila Prabhupada's books not be changed?
No, the question that do you think that Prabhupada's books should be changed or not? Yes or no? Do you think Prabhupada's original books need to be kept intact in ISKCON? Yes or no? So the very precise
Yeah.
answers we can get from these
Okay.
questions.
We can do it like that.
you know, if there's any factual error in any book, it can be not changed, but it can be, you put footnotes or you put appendix and explaining that there was an error in the original transcription from the tape or something. And the real statement is this: you don't change the books, you put an annotation to explain what was originally intended.
Jai.
And that keeps it as Prabhupada, not as Jayadvaita or Garuda.
Dravida.
Dravida, sorry. The
No,
Dravida
Garuda also wrote a Bhagavad Gita, so Narayan Prabhu is right also.
Guru. So the Dravida gorilla, right?
Yeah, so like we need to make a proper presentation because I know the
great.
people who are just joining the ISKCON right now, the beginners. So what's the misconception is there that among beginners that all the disciples of Prabhupada are in agreement with the changing of books and in making or electing the new gurus or whatever is going on in ISKCON right now. They don't
Exactly.
even know that many are opposing these things.
But once we get this website rolling, it will take exactly what Prabhupada wanted and not what he compromised on in order to keep the movement going. So it'll be exactly Prabhupada's intention, and Prabhupada's instructions, and Prabhupada's orders, Prabhupada's plans, all out in the open. And it will be in stark contrast to what's going on now. What's going on now is sort of an orgy of self-indulgence by the GBC and gurus. What we will present is preaching what Prabhupada came to develop ISKCON. So you can enjoy yourselves as much as you like. Take all your stolen money and go to Monaco and gamble. I'm too old, as you pointed out. Not for me, but for the next 9,500 years, we want the real ISKCON there, and the people that are currently fighting to become gurus or fighting for their gurus that they've chosen or believe that they should have gurus, these people will be dead shortly. Within 100 years, they'll all be dead. What we need is to create something that will last past them being dead.
Jai.
Meaning the truth. You know?
All right. 6 minutes, Prabhu. So anything else, Vinayak Prabhu? So that's a good point, Vinayak Prabhu. Let's work on that. We
every
can.
time we need to keep the things smooth. Every time we need to think about the next steps that we are going to work on a particular idea. So,
Great. Well,
so first of all,
you're a scientist, so use your scientific brain.
Vinayak Prabhu is less than 24 years old, so he has a lot of service in him.
He's less than 24 years old?
Yes.
I don't believe it. I thought he was almost 35 or 40.
No.
He speaks with great maturity.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister also says that he is like 65-year-old and get this old rascal of.
He says about you?
Yeah. My family also says
so,
that.
Just guess what? You have a young body, but you're carrying the consciousness of your previous birth in it.
Jai.
You
Right.
see? You're carrying because you were a devotee in your previous life. So you're carrying your whole Geist. Your whole Geist is the word for ghost comes from, it means spirit. You're carrying the whole abstract of your previous life in this life. So you probably sounded this way when you were 4 years old. I'll bet. Would your sister agree?
No, I mean, Vinayak Prabhu being less than 24 years old, I mean, him coming to the Zoom meetings, it's like really powerful because he's very young, he's very intelligent, he's everything is a plus point,
Yeah. And what we conclude in this Zoom call, albeit right now it's just a few people, when we start working through the website and when we work through the website, there's thousands of people that we can harvest of ISKCON, people that have gone away, like Prabhupada's, there's a group called Prabhupada's Family. Who knows what it really is? they're just like people are trying to huddle together in the middle of a snowstorm and keep each other warm, you know. But their mood is they want Prabhupada, and they want the real Prabhupada, and they haven't got the slightest idea how to get it, so they spend all their time complaining about the bogus guys.
Mm-hmm.
So when we finish our work, there'll be nothing more to complain about. You want to complain about the bogus guys, or do you want to become one of the non-bogus guys?
Mm.
Come on, become a non-bogus person. How many people have in your group? 200? Great, bring them all. We'll all be working together now, not bogus guys. And when you have, if we had like, just let's fantasize. Supposing we had a group with circled around the website of 5,000 or even 10,000 people, do you not think that the ISKCON members would start paying attention and saying, why are you sons of bitches not giving us the real story? We want the real thing. Well, we're GBC. We get to tell you everything. Not according to Prabhupada. Have you seen that website? Prabhupada said the GBC is elected every 3 years. What was the last century you were elected? Every 3 centuries? No, but Prabhupada changed his mind. Oh, really? He changed his mind. What? Did he change his mind about initiating you also? Maybe. So you see, that's what they'll be saying until finally the GB says, GBC will have to say, oh crap, we're busted. And you know what they're going to say if they're mature or if they're actual devotees disguised as GBC and acting like church? They're going to say, thank goodness, I was so sick of the way things were going. They're going to say that.
Pretending.
They will say that because they all want the right thing, but they're playing the game with the game-changing
channel
shopkeepers.
Right,
yeah,
right.
They're whatever you want to say. Yes, they're all want to play. They want the truth, but they'll go along with the lie, praying for someone to bring them the truth. And we are going to be those people.
Jai. Okay, so we can end it right there. We're right on time. Thank you to all the devotees for joining. And
Jai.
today is Wednesday, and next meeting would be on Saturday, 8 p.m. California time, and then on Sunday. Jai.
Did we handle all of the comments and all of the questions?
Yes. I just checked.
Good.
I don't see any more comments. Let me check one more time.
Okay.
Kaushal Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu, nice to see you on YouTube. Long life to the direct disciples. Kaushal Prabhu.
Yeah. Well, there we go. You see, that's the impulse. That voice is the Jiva speaking, right?
Jai.
That voice is a spiritual communication from Jiva to us, meaning from Jiva to Jiva. So that's our victory right there. Just saying that is our victory. Him saying that is our victory.
Okay. Mahaprabhu, Hare Krishna, nice to see you. You're in Tilak. Where's the Hare Krishna chanter, the 95-year-old pure devotee?
In the other room.
Okay, let's not disturb him tonight.
He doesn't want to say Hare Krishna?
For sure.
Really?
Hare Krishna.
He's in a grim mood?
Yeah, usually.
Okay, well, no sense in pushing him or he'll feel annoyed if we ask him to chant.
You'll have to sleep in the car if you push him too much.
Okay,
okay
it's
with
time
that.
to finish.
All right.
Krishna.
Krishna Rupa.
Rishabh Dev,
see.
are you satisfied with what we're doing yet?
Yes.
Rishabh Dev,
Yes.
huh? You're
Yes.
satisfied? Good.
Yes, I'm
So
satisfied.
Ramachandra, have a private conversation with Rishabh Dev and find out all the details of what he's doing on his site.
Yes, he told me. But we'll talk more. Give me a call anytime you like, Prabhu's. Anyone here?
Oh, he already told you what he's doing?
Yes,
Oh, I wish you'd shared it.
you shared it, so it's his. Now I know. Okay, anyways, Prabhu's, thank you very much. Please join us for our next meeting, which will be
Hare
on
Krishna.
Saturday and on Sunday.
Saturday,
8 p.m.
Kijai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much,
Haribol.
Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.